Sometimes I pick random movies on YouTube, type in a year full movie, we've seen that. Other times I check my movies folder up here and see what movies I have drunkenly in the middle of the night bookmarked. Most recently we have Wired to Kill. IMDb tells us that Wired to Kill is a 1986 action sci-fi film. In the near future, law and order breaks down, diseases, violence, and immorality are rampant. However, one Christian young man decides not to turn the other cheek anymore. He modifies his wheelchair to help him protect his home and family and kill the thugs first. Okay, so none of that happens in this movie. The back of the VHS says he fights mutants. That doesn't happen either. So you're asking what does happen? Let's sit down and find out as we watch and review the 1986 action, not sci-fi movie, Wired to Kill.
We kicked a little ass. You know what, I'd do it again.
Thanks to an opening text crawl and an opening narration, we learned that it is 1998, 6 years after a deadly plague wiped out half the population of the United States. During those 6 years, schools were shut down, quarantine zones were enacted, and the formerly quarantined are now criminals who come into civilized areas to raid houses for money and supplies. We meet our main characters, Rebecca and Steve. Rebecca's been kicked out of her house because her dad wants to bang a bunch of random sluts, and having a teenage daughter around was cramping his style. And our hero, Steve, who lives with his grandma, mother, and robot named Winston. That night, an evil gang breaks into Steve's house. They originally tried to break into Rebecca's father's house, but he's rich and had security. So let's go rob the poor people.
Sleep. Break his other leg.
Both of Steve's legs are broken and he'll spend the rest of the movie in a wheelchair. His mom and grandmother go to the police. The cops do exactly as great as a job you expect for post-apocalyptic police to do, and things are not great for grandma and mom.
We popped your grandmother. We popped your skinny bitch mother. And we're gonna have to pop you.
Steve's not cool with this idea. His grandma's dead and his mother's been paralyzed. So he has a plan. God, his plan sucks. He sneaks a stupid robot into the bad guy's base for 10 minutes of this movie, and all that happens is we see them burn one of their own people alive. The robot does steal money so they can fund their revenge plan, though.
$8,552.
A reoccurring theme in this movie is that we see 5 minutes of them planning out all their plans. Every time. To kill one guy takes 10 minutes. Okay, so let's summarize. This guy who doesn't know how to do coke properly is given tainted coke. This guy is stabbed in the butthole.
Okay, can you press that button?
Which button? This one?
And this guy is pushed down a flight of stairs by the robot who is holding onto his dick the whole time. This video is brought to you by vasectomies?
Today's special is family planning. Discounts are available on abortions, vasectomies, tubal ligations, artificial insemination, and much, much more.
Yes, the Children's Rights Fund says, get rid of that kid while you can and have a good day.
But their big master plan is to hotwire a Walkman and just leave it lying around so a bad guy will pick it up and die. This is literally their big plan. We spend 15 minutes of the movie on it. Dear God, send help.
This ought to do it. There's enough juice here to fell an ox.
Somehow their master plan of leaving a Walkman lying around and walking away fails terribly. I'll explain it in the description. It's too dumb for verbal words. Anyways, the girl is kidnapped. And why, you may ask? I could give you 100 guesses. You'd never get it right. This all-powerful evil gang, led by Captain Kirk's son and Tiny Lister, kidnap her so they can force her to perform in a rendition of Romeo and Juliet for the children. Did anyone else suddenly get a headache, or is that just me?
Breathe!
I, Pilgrim, lips that they must use in prayer.
Well then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do. They pray. Grant thou lest faith.
Meanwhile, Steve slowly remote controls Winston to the rescue.
It's Shakespeare time!
This leads to a one-sided firefight that Winston does not survive. This is a one-sided firefight because despite the fact that the movie spends 3 scenes and 12 minutes of runtime showing painstakingly Rebecca going to the gun shop, buying ammo, going to a street vendor to buy guns, and Steve hotwiring the guns to work remotely, they never work and it means nothing. So if Steve's back home with broken legs and Winston's dead, who, you may ask, saves Rebecca? Well, a random guy that we've never seen before in the movie just shows up and frees her. But this turns out to be an evil plot to rape her, so he gets the Walkman zap. The movie ends with something I've never seen before, and I'm finding hard to describe. So, throughout the movie, they've gone through great lengths to explain what their plan is and what they're going to do. Well, this time they do it too, but they superimpose the planning over the plan, and we see both scenes at once.
and get us, asshole!
Hey, Romeo! Come and get it, I'm
I warned you, you little fucker! You're dead! You're dead! Please, get the back, I'll drive myself.
They hook up a remote control to the bad guy's truck and drive it into a building.
We kicked a little ass.
Overall, before I go into my opinion about the movie, for the first time in a while, let's look at what some critics thought of a movie. Cybertronica Obscura calls it a piece of crap. B&S About the Movies compares it to digging through a dumpster of poop. Fantastic Movie Musings and Ramblings calls it impossible to recommend. Rivets on the Poster compliments the movie for being free on YouTube and not costing them any money. And in a positive review, Operation Zeta says it's different from other post-apocalyptic movies because it's not as exciting as those other movies. To be very clear and concise, this movie is boring. It just drags on. I know I mentioned it a couple times, but how much time they spent setting up the kills instead of just having kills is infuriating. This movie is intended to be Christian propaganda that the bad guys aren't in touch with God, that's why they're evil. Because we see Grandma grab a cross as she's dying. Other than that, though, there's really no mention of it. Other than on the VHS cover, we're supposed to know that this is a righteous Christian man who has no other choice. But it's never made clear in the movie. Looking at the director's other works, other small budget films, yeah, a lot of them are Christian revenge films. It's just what this guy liked to do. And in this case, he did a very bad job of getting that across. Best kill. Other than everyone getting exploded at the end, there's only 2 kills. Cocaine guy and guy pushed down the stairs by his dick. So I guess that's the best kill. There's Walkman guy, but he barely counts. He wasn't even in the movie. Even if you're a post-apocalyptic movie completist, don't watch this. It's not worth your time. There's not even supercut ability here to show highlights of the film or anything. It's a total snooze fest. Why did you review it then, Ray? I don't know, Gary. I don't know. I call all people I don't like Gary. Sorry to Garys that are not annoying out there. The director for this movie is Francis Schaeffer. He directed 3 Christian revenge films and a non-Christian revenge film called Baby on Board, based on the stickers on cars. Why is that a thing? Please, Lord, make it stop. Actors in this movie: Merritt Bertrick. He plays the bad guy. He was Captain Kirk's kid on Star Trek 2 and 3, and played Johnny on Square Pegs. Emily Longstretch played Rebecca. She was in Star Crystal and the made-for-TV movie Too Young to Die? ? Shout out to my friend TYTD Reviews. That's what TYTD stands for. Tony Lister's also in this one as one of the bad guys. Well, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Do not kidnap women and force them to perform Shakespeare. And as always, I shall try to do better next time. No bonus clips. This movie doesn't deserve it. Well, maybe this one.
You have the civil liberty constitutional right to dignity and privacy. If your rights are being violated in any way, you have the right to call toll-free to register a complaint. Call Health and Human Services Criminal Rights Division. Just call 1-800-CIVIL-LIBERTY. Notice, alleged uncooperatives and criminal deviants. You have the civil liberty right to humane treatment. You have the civil liberty constitutional right to dignity and privacy. If your rights are being violated in any way, you have the right to call toll-free to register a complaint. Call Health and Human Services Criminal Rights Division. Just call 1-800-CIVIL-LIBERTY. Notice, alleged uncooperatives and criminal deviants. You have the civil liberty right to humane treatment. You have the civil liberty constitutional right to dignity